Have you ever seen or had one of those parenting moments where the child gets a simple instruction and they react as if they've just been asked to climb Mount Everest? Maybe you've seen or asked a kid to put on their shoes. A simple request, right? And instead of just obeying, you get asked, well, where are we going? And do I need my big shoes or my little shoes? And can I bring my toys? And are we going to eat there? If so, can I bring my snacks first? And before you can even answer or any answer is given, the child is halfway into a full-blown strategic planning session. And I think about how often we do the same thing with God. He gives us this simple instruction: love your neighbor, forgive someone, take a step of faith. And instead of obeying, we start internally interrogating. Well, God, why? And where will this lead? And what if this thing happens? But what God wants from us is what most parents want from their children: simple obedience. When we think of radical faith, we often imagine something dramatic. Missionaries moving to remote jungles, people selling everything they own, or fiery preachers performing miracles. But what if radical faith isn't about doing something big, but about trusting God in the small? A perfect example of this is Abram in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 through 4. I'd love to read it to you. It says this: "Now the Lord said to Abram, go forth from your country, and from your relatives, and from your father's house." And then we skip down to verse 4 to see Abram's response. "So Abram went forth as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him." You see, Abram's story is often seen as a radical faith moment. God called him to leave everything and go to this unknown place. And yes, that is a huge step of faith. But what's remarkable is not just the size of the calling, but the simplicity of the response. So Abram went. No debate, no questioning, no demand for a detailed itinerary. God said go, and Abram went. You see, faith is proven in simple, small obedience. For me personally, I don't need my son to take a giant leap of faith every day to prove that he trusts me. I don't need him to throw himself into the deep end or climb on top of the fridge to show that he believes in my parenting skills. Sometimes I just need him to listen, to trust my voice in the small things, such as putting on his shoes when I ask. God desires the same from us. Radical faith isn't always about jumping out of a boat to walk on water like Peter. More often, it looks like forgiving someone who hurt you, or saying yes to serving in a way that stretches you. Trusting God when He says wait instead of rushing ahead, or even showing kindness when no one else does. The real test of faith isn't just in the big moments, it's in the daily obedience to God's voice. Have you ever noticed how sometimes we make obedience way more complicated than it needs to be? God says, trust me with your finances. And we say, but let me check my budget 5 more times and stress about it first. God says, be kind to that coworker. And we respond, but Lord, do you know how annoying they are? God says, step into this new opportunity. And we ask, well, can I get a contract and a 5-year plan first? But Abram's story teaches us that radical faith is simple. God said go, and Abram went. Jesus modeled this kind of faith for us. In John chapter 14, verse 31, Jesus said, I do exactly what the Father has commanded me. He didn't need extra detail. He just trusted His Father's plan. What is God calling you to right now that seems small? Maybe it's forgiving someone, or stepping out to lead, or serving in a new way, or trusting Him in a difficult situation. And my encouragement to you is you don't need all the details. You don't need a 10-step roadmap. You just need to put on your shoes and go. Radical faith isn't about knowing everything. It's about trusting the one who does.